Hey Gooners, this is Alan Smith.
This is Kevin Campbell.
Lee Dixon.
Colin Lewin.
This is Gary Lewin.
Charles Watts.
Dan Potts.
James Benge.
Danny.
Tom from the Gooner Talk here.
Ryan O'Castle.
Simon Collins. You may know me from the Evening Standard.
You may know me for my time at Arsenal.
You may know me from Arsenal or even the Highbury squad.
I'm a Birdcat Wonderland.
Being that physio sat on the bench next to Arsenal with my rubber gloves on.
The former Arsenal physio.
The Emirates press box, from writing, from Twitter.
From Goal.com, from Twitter, from YouTube.
Football is the beautiful game and it brings us all together.
Sometimes there are things even more important than wins and losses.
And yes, even transfers.
Every 30 seconds, someone in this world gets diagnosed with blood cancer.
The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society works towards curing blood cancers
and provides support to families currently dealing with these diseases.
Gooners vs Cancer was started in 2017
by a lifelong Gooner who lost his father to leukemia way too young.
Since 2017, Gooners v Cancer has raised
over $75,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
And we need your help to keep the fundraising going in this year's campaign.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
No matter the size.
And every donation enters you into the Gooner raffle,
where you have a great chance to win amazing Arsenal prizes,
including game tickets, stadium tours,
signed men and women's shirts,
and maybe a retro signed shirt by yours truly, Lee Dixon.
Me, yours truly.
Yours truly, Super Kev Campbell.
So much more.
It's easy to take part.
Just go to www.goonersvcancer.com
and donate directly to the charity.
Pick the raffle prizes you want to enter to win,
and wait for the drawings at the end of the campaign.
Again, that's www.goonersversuscancer.com.
We all know that victory grows out of harmony.
Victory grows out of harmony.
Victory grows out of harmony.
With your help, we'll be victorious against blood cancer once and for all.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thanks for your support.
Thanks for your support.
Thank you for your support.
All right, I'm excited about this next hour. Not that I wasn't excited about the last 14 hours, but we are into, I believe, hour 15, and it's a fantastic one. And joining us today, let's see, I got to get back on my routine of reading my script here, but good morning to Europe, and there is no better way to get the day started than to have breakfast with two outstanding individuals. A quick highlight from our first guest today. I want to bring this up. We have a video of him, and here we go.
Saka takes. One of them, embraced and embracing.
Peter, welcome back
to the Mike.
Peter, was the rake that he had anything like the rake you were holding during the game?
Yeah, a very, very similar garden rake, actually. I'd just been on the back lawn and sorting out the clippings and went straight from there to the game.
They don't provide them at the end. I was going to ask you,
no,
do they provide you the rake and the hammer and
I thought Arsenal were a great club, but they just don't do garden rakes.
I know. I mean, if we were serious about the Arsenal, we've lost our way over the last 10 years.
Exactly.
So this
listen, congratulations on your first 14 hours.
Thank you.
I saw the last 5 or 10 minutes of the last segment, and you guys were steaming on and in great shape. It was a really good chat.
I haven't had to, I keep saying this, but I have not had to break into the energy drinks yet. And I'm trying to hold off as long as I can. I know it's coming, but yeah, so far the adrenaline is holding us up. So now, Peter, this is your fourth time, shockingly and appreciatively appearing on the Gooners podcast. And each time I get emails and comments asking me how it's possible that someone as poetic, as professional, as perfect at what they do agrees to come on this podcast with the likes of me. And of course, the answer is hypnosis.
The answer is it's such great fun, Mike. Honestly, you're so authentic about your love for your club, and truthfully, it's not a threatening environment. I don't feel uneasy. It's just a lot of fun, and I know you love to talk about your Arsenal, and so you should. And it's not a bad time to be talking about them, is it?
No, I mean, look, we're as excited about the Arsenal as you sounded when Declan Rice scored, and you're an absolute legend, and there's someone who's joining us a little bit later on today, but when he took a look at the lineup and saw who was on the 8 a.m. hour, he left me a voice note. So this is from our friend Albert, and I just wanted to make sure to play it for you.
Yes, Michael Feinberg, man. Before I send you a beautiful voice note from your brother from another mother, Albert JTV. Mate, incredible lineup. I had to look twice. I said, bloody hell. Yeah, man, proud to be part of that, man, 100%. And Mike, can you officially tell Peter Drury that I'm actually in love with him? I love him. He's the best thing since sliced bread in terms of commentating. So you pass that message on to him from me. But much love, man. Looking forward to coming on, man.
What a lovely thing to say. I love him back. That's really kind.
Albert Umo, Albert JTV, Peter loves you. He's in love with you, kind of like you said with him. It's fantastic. So, Peter, have you met Harry Symeou? Have you guys connected?
I've got a feeling I recognize Harry. Harry, where have we met?
You probably see me in a press box somewhere.
Yeah, that's almost certainly true.
Met.
No, I feel as though I have met you, but perhaps we haven't. But anyway, Harry, it's really good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and good to see you as well. As Albert says, the literal goat of commentating, and as someone who's starting out in that line of work, I'm so chuffed to be here alongside you. When Mike said that I was on the same hour, I was like, wow.
Oh, nice. No, thank you for that.
That wasn't random. That was something I wanted to have happen. And Harry is a good friend of the show. He's someone I met 5 years or so ago when he was a podcaster, an aspiring football commentator. He's no longer aspiring because in addition to his excellent podcast, The Chronicles of a Gooner, he commentates football for BBC Radio, is a studio presenter on Talk Sport for 90 Minutes Football, and also appears frequently on CNN World Sport, including just earlier this week after the United game. Not only this, but he's an absolutely lovely guy. He definitely follows in the footsteps of really every single football commentator that I've been blessed enough to meet in being humble, kind, hardworking, and just a really genuine guy. So thanks, Harry, for coming on with us again.
Mike, you're making me blush, man. Stop it. No, thank you. Really appreciate you having me on. It's great to talk to you. Obviously, great to talk to Peter as well. And what you're doing is unbelievable. I mean, we always have this joke, don't we, with Tom Canton about podcasting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I always say,
which he's doing right now, actually.
Which he's doing right now. I'm sure he is. For me, I can't do podcasts at 8 o'clock in the morning. I feel like I'm not even functioning yet, but I'm loaded up on the coffee. I don't know how you're doing it on hour 15, but the cause is amazing. The work you do is unbelievable. I've seen you in action when you're fundraising, and I think it's amazing what you do. Is for a worthwhile cause, and honestly, it is a pleasure to be here. And thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate it, and trust me, what keeps me up for 27 hours is the constantly rotating, amazing people I get to talk to every hour. I mean, if we were just kind of struggling for topics to talk about, or talking about Kai Havertz for the 19th straight hour with with 14 different people, it would get old. I would start glazing over, and but every time I look at the clock and it's 40 minutes after the hour, I know we're getting ready to invite someone else in, and they're going to be amazing. So it's just an unbelievable amount of adrenaline pretty much that helps do it. And if you are just waking up and coming into this chat, we've got Peter Drury, we've got Harry Symeou. We're going to be joined by Tom Canton in a little bit when he's done doing his flagship show on his channel. But if you want to enter some amazing prize raffles, if you want to help us kick cancer, raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, please go to goonersvcancer.com. The website's crawling at the bottom of the screen. and donate. And now that that Europe is waking up, hopefully we can get those donations start to pick up again. We've just gone over $26,000 raised in the summer campaign that started at the beginning of the campaign of the summer tour. So thanks to everybody. So we're going to hopefully get a number of user questions, listener questions for Peter, for Harry. So if you've got anything you want to ask them, please put it in the chat now. We'll mark it and come back and ask it later. So go ahead and do that. Now, Peter, Arsenal versus United, that was your most recent game?
Yeah.
And
amazing.
While I'm gutted that we didn't get you here in the States, that was, you're doing one game for NBC and one game for Sky, is it?
Yeah.
A weekend. And we did get a very, very good, we had John Champion with us.
Yeah.
In the States, and I'll take that any day of the week, and he'll be joining us later at 2:00. For someone who loves the beauty and the drama and the late stage dramatics of a beautiful game, this game must have really sucked.
Do you know what? It was oddly, it must have sucked. Sorry, I'm not even listening to you.
Which makes you like every other person I've ever spoken to.
Mike and Harry, I think you both agree, as dyed-in-the-wool Gunners, that actually the first half had 2 minutes in it. 2 minutes and 2 goals. There wasn't a whole lot. United played a lot of that game in their own half, which was surprising because I thought they had to sort of attack the game. And then, the second half was so different with the VAR offside, the Havertz penalty that then wasn't, and then those crazy explosive moments in the end. And it just goes to show, actually, that you remember ultimately what was your last picture of the game, and the last pictures of the game were those crazy goals and all that. And funny enough, I was talking to Gary Neville afterwards, I've been working with, and I said to him, it is funny how obviously, and quite rightly, we're all football fans, we all understand it, how the result drives the narrative, and we're here to talk on your terrific Arsenal podcast and help to raise a bit of money. So I don't want to be miserable about it. But can you imagine how, having played essentially the same game, if that Garnacho goal counts and United win 2-1, Arsenal would have played just as well or just as badly. United would have played just as well or just as badly. And the story we'd be telling would be a completely different one. It's extraordinary how those crazy moments at the end of those big games direct the narrative for not just minutes, but hours and days and weeks and potentially months to come.
Well, and in this case, I had a lot on my mind during that game. It was the last game before the international break, during which we were going to be doing a massive podcast with tons of Arsenal talk. When it looked like we were going to drop either 2 or 3 points in that game, I was not only miserable for the normal reasons about it, but it was going to be, the narrative was just going to be so negative and sky is falling from everybody that, and that's sometimes what drives me away from podcasting. I podcast as a hobby, not as a job or a career, or, and so when I don't want to do it, I don't do it. And that's been a lot. It's been a lot.
That's the best way, Mike.
Well, you were about to go into retirement, Mike, were you?
I've really kind of avoided it a lot lately, just because I'm, the same narrative over and over again. It gets exhausting for someone who that isn't their first thing that they think about every day. So supposedly, allegedly,
especially after the Fulham game, especially after the way that went, and the fact that there were questions then being asked of sort of Mikel Arteta's team selections and the way he's trying to get Kai Havertz into the side and the adjustments he's had to make to kind of find that balance. There was always going to be that overblown reaction if Arsenal failed to win the game against United at home. And then when you've got an international break, gives you a couple of weeks to kind of stew over it. And it often looks worse than it actually is. So I think you're right. It was important that Arsenal got the points and that just kind of set the tone, didn't it? Going into the international break, which has been really, really calm from our perspective. Not that much talk about the team anymore. Not much talk about Kai Havertz. Well, not as much. There's still plenty of it.
He was bailed out from, really having a fairly poor game. He was bailed out by the result. And really, what was so clear to me, and it's shocking that it wasn't clear to more people, specifically those who, live around the corner from the stadium and are Manchester United fans, is that, we absolutely deserved to win that game. We dominated every facet of that game, in my opinion. A little weak on counterattacks, which of course has been our bogey all season. But I felt like that would have really been 2 points unexcusably dropped, or God forbid Garnacho's goal stood, 3 points dropped, and that was really what got me so much. So to go from our friend Dave Seeger used to write an incredible blog called 1-0 or 1-0 down, 2-0 up. And, we ended up going from 2-1 down to 3-1 up, which is almost unheard of before. But that entire kind of 15 to 20 minute arc, I was at a bar down in my son's college town and watching with him and my wife and a friend of ours. And just the hugs that happened when Rice scored, my son just jumped out of my 20-year-old son jumps out of his chair, comes over and leaps into my arms. And that's the memory from that game. So,
and do you not think, Mike, and Harry, again, as Arsenal guys who presumably a year ago, when Arsenal were playing West Ham, Declan Rice would have been the bloke you looked at and wanted to fail because he was their best player and all of that sort of stuff. What a good guy he is. I mean, the way he is connected so quickly with what is nobody's pretending West Ham Arsenal is the derby, but it's a derby. There is a rivalry of sorts there, and a close-ish rivalry. And for him to make that leap and become not just a player, but almost the player, and to be able to walk around that ground with Rice Baby playing and all of that stuff with a massive, beautifully modest smile on his face. He strikes me, if I had a daughter, which I don't, I'd like my daughter to marry Declan Rice because he just seems a really good guy.
He's got all of the attributes. I mean, he seems to be humble. This is in my incredibly in-depth knowledge and experience with him one-on-one. But he really just seems grounded, well suited to handle the kind of the things that normally can take someone off of their professional track, the distractions of the world. And maybe we're lionizing him, especially as Arsenal fans who are really falling in love with him, but I've seen nothing to tell me any different.
Do you know what it is? It's really genuine with Declan Rice. And sort of from the first interview he gave in Arsenal colours, you could tell that he was genuinely excited to be at the club. Normally you get a lot of footballers, they sit down and they'll say generic stuff, which is okay, I guess. But, the kind of, glad to be here. I've liked this club since I was a kid, all the rest of it. But with Declan Rice, just looking at his face as he's saying those things and as he's sort of talking about how excited he was to join the club, about how excited he is to work under Mikel Arteta, how he's seeing the game differently now. All of that comes across as really, really genuine. And I think it's a breath of fresh air in modern football at a time where I'm not saying footballers are like this, but there is a lot of questions being asked about, how much footballers care and that kind of thing. That conversation is always ongoing. So to have someone as genuine as Declan Rice come in and just connect, as you say, Peter, with everybody involved in Arsenal is just amazing.
Yeah, and Jim astutely points out that Rice kisses babies after games and helps old people cross the road. And what more do you want than that?
He must know there's a general election next year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which reminds, that just put the thought in my head of this movie. I forget, it was Will Ferrell. It was, I think it was called The Campaign or something, where the guy's running for Congress and he wants to hurt his opponent, and so he runs over and takes a huge swing at him, and the opponent moves out of the way, and a baby just appears behind him, and horribly he punches the baby. But we're not endorsing that. We're definitely not endorsing that. So Harry, you were at the Emirates as well for that game. We saw a great picture of you. Was that before the game or after the game? I'm guessing after. With you, Tom, and Super Kev.
Oh, that was before the game when we were discussing the front three, and we said me and Tom will play either side of
Kevin
that's right.
Campbell
through the middle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kev's got to be the target man. So tell me logistically, where are you actually located within the stadium when you're doing the game for BBC and then Peter for Sky or NBC? I mean, I'm familiar with where the print media is, right in front of block 31, 32, pretty central, maybe a little bit on the away side towards the clock end. Where are you guys physically located within the Emirates? Harry?
So I'm in the same bit as the written media. You often get radio points there on the back row, which is, although people sort of look at the back row and go, oh, you've got kind of a slightly sort of letterbox view because of the stand coming down in front of you. It is the row to be in, I guess, if you're in the lower tier, because nobody can block your view, at least, of what's going on the pitch. You do have to stand up from time to time, particularly when the ball goes into the corner of the North Bank on the same side as you. I have had to stand up from time to time, and being in the back row, you don't mind that because there's nobody to tell you off. But that's where I do the game from. I know Peter will tell you about the gantry, which I hope to get to one day.
Gantry is just not a word you hear in the States, and Peter, how much I love the
the English,
the British that are football related, and gantry is one of them. But where exactly is the gantry in the Emirates?
Basically, I'm more or less sitting on top of Harry, so it's a kind of appendage in front of the top tier on the same side of the ground, which is where all the cameras are, and there's room for 4, 5, 6 television crews as well. So there tends to be the 2 domestic ones, that's to say Sky or TNT if it's one of their games. The match of the day, BBC commentator, NBC, PLP, which is as you know, Mike, I'm sure the company that sends it globally. And very often, especially for the big games, there's at least one Scandinavian commentary team. Very often Denmark. We see a lot of Jan Molby around the place. And very often there's a French commentary team as well. And sometimes, listen, when you're playing for the title on the last day of the season, there'll be a few more than that as well. But that's where it is. And I have to say, it's an enviable view. Down the years, I like to have an excuse if possible. And there is no excuse at Arsenal, unfortunately for me, because you can see it all. It's useful to have a pillar somewhere so that when the ball goes in and you don't know who scored, you've got something to blame. But there is nothing to blame. And funnily enough, although obviously the Emirates is a built in the television age ground and built with television in mind, back in the day, Highbury's gantry was an absolute joy. Really? Because it was a smaller ground and so on, and we sat right over the halfway line at just the right height, and those were the sort of early years of my television career, and it very quickly became a favourite place to broadcast from. But the Emirates has picked that up.
I said that I want to get into the gantry one day. There are some gantries that I don't want to get into. It's a cracking old ground, and I know they've done some work now. But when I first did a radio game, I went to Luton Town, and
plenty of excuses there, Harry.
Yeah, exactly. I sat in the press box and I sort of set up my stuff, and I thought, I haven't got any room to literally plug in my ISDN kit and have my notes on the desk in front of me. Had people either side of me. And one of the club staff said to me, do you want to go up in the gantry? And I looked up and it was this piece of scaffolding hanging over the pitch. And I thought, no, you know what? You're all right. I'll stay where I am.
Well, I do want to just point out, we've just seen a large spike in viewership, and that can only mean one thing. That means we are now after the completion of the 8 a.m. show from the Gooner Talk TV. So we're going to bring in Tom Canton, fresh, who's brought literally close to 100 people with him. Tom, Peter, you've met.
Hey, Tom.
I think I've seen Peter around the press lounge before, but we've not had the pleasure of speaking to each other yet. But it's nice to meet Peter. And
next time we will.
For sure, mate. For sure, absolutely.
Are you coming to Everton?
I hopefully will be there. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Well,
fingers crossed.
See you there then.
See you there then, man. And I'll see this guy all the time, so he's fine.
I'm actually not going to Everton. I'm disappointed now.
I mean, as press boxes go, it is the most tightly kind of compacted press box. The seats are like 30 centimeter ruler wide. They are very small seats. They're fantastically old fashioned and great, but goodness me.
No, exactly. I did radio from Everton back in the day, and we did talk. I don't know how much you've heard of this, Tom, but I was talking about having an excuse when you're broadcasting, it's lovely to have an excuse, something that's in the way you can blame when you call a goal wrong or whatever. And Everton does have what we always used to call them, the guys, many of my friends on 5 Live and so on still do, the good old Goodison pillar, which takes out one of the penalty areas. And so even if the goal's at the other end, you can find a way of blaming the Goodison pillar.
Yeah, I would have gone with you're packed in so tightly that it cuts off the circulation to your brain at some point. So, it gets a bit foggy.
Well, I'm sure you must know. I mean, he's one of my best mates on the circuit. You must know John Murray, who's the commentator for BBC Radio, Mike, for those who obviously who wouldn't necessarily hear him, particularly in the States. But he's a wonderful guy from the northeast of England, terrific accent and an absolutely outstanding broadcaster. But he would also, if he were American, he'd be in the NBA. He's about 9 feet tall.
Oh, so he fits right in at the Emirates because the entire press corps is 6'5".
Well, when he's at Goodison, he really does have a problem sitting down. But anyway, that's another story.
And so, Harry, as an Arsenal fan who is on the air for, you were commentating the game, or were you doing like game reports?
So we were doing updates.
Okay.
We were doing updates, but we do the off-air commentary as well for the highlights and stuff. So
okay, so when the goal goes in, I mean, there's the no celebrating in the press area thing, which resulted in this after the Declan Rice goal, but. How do you hold it together in those situations? That for me would be one of the hardest things.
So because I'm working for BBC London, there's a little tiny bit of leeway when the London club comes out on top. So in a game like Arsenal and Manchester United, obviously you have to remain as professional as you possibly can. But there is a tiny bit more room in which you can go up into when the London club comes out on top. So kind of needed that room last Sunday, and I've needed it a few times over the last couple of years.
When Harry says he needed that room, he needed like Albert Hall in terms of the size of a room of difference. Like,
do you know what though as well? And Peter will tell you this. I think obviously, and I'll probably need to improve on this, and it's something that I want to learn over time. But I find that you naturally go up to another level when the home team score because the crowd takes you there. It's like you're kind of surfing on the noise of the crowd. And if you don't, if when the away side scores, it's more of an effort to go up to that next level because you haven't got the crowd sort of lifting you there by default.
That's so right. And Mike, that can be a problem, honestly, because it can bring with it a perception when you are neutral. It can bring with it the suggestion that you're taking more pleasure in one team scoring than the other. And that's not the case. Harry's bang on. You go with the feel in the ground. And so when Manchester United, for instance, scored their goal the other day, you try to go high for Manchester United supporters, but they're just a little posse in the corner, a long, long way away from you. And it's not the same lift. And the same would be true. I have to say this, covering myself all the time, but the same would be true, the other way around at Old Trafford when Arsenal go there later in the season. It would be instinctively harder to get high with Arsenal because the noise won't be the same.
Yeah, and I'm seeing. I apologize for a slight bit of distraction. I'm seeing that clearly. Tom said, "Put in the chat that you came over from TGT." We got about 150 messages. Honestly, 150 or so new viewers have come in. So, Tom, I mean, if that isn't an ego trip for you right now, that you have caused people to do.
I said Peter was going to be here, so that is the only reason they jumped.
Well,
and Harry, I mentioned Harry.
Oh, cheers, Tom.
It's all you, Tom. It's all you.
And this is the equivalent to "Please may I have your shirt," the sign on the sideline. But Peter, can we accommodate? I'm going to guess he's one of yours. So Tom. So as a favor to Tom, shout out.
Who? Me?
On the screen.
Louis. Hi, it's Peter here. Thank you for wanting me to shout out. I do far too much shouting out. A lot of people say, "Peter, shut up," but shout out to you, Louis.
Well, no one in this audience is going to say that. I'm going to take advantage of the situation and just tell people again a little bit of housekeeping. Why we're here. We are here to have an incredible conversation. We're here to have incredible conversation with incredible guests. We hope that if you have the time and you have the inclination, you'll stay here. But really what we're trying to do is raise money, raise awareness for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society through Gooners V Cancer. If you go to goonersvcancer.com at any point, please, the sooner the better, because you'll be entered in more prize draws, because not only are we collecting money, we're actually asking you to donate directly to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, but we are also giving away some amazing prizes. Our prize draw at the end of this hour is going to be a 2023-24 personalized Arsenal kit that has been donated by our very own Harry Symeou, which is very much appreciated. We're going to be giving that away at the end of the hour. And there's probably about another 10 or 12 prize draws after this between now and 6 p.m. tonight when we will, 9 p.m. tonight when we'll be finishing off the pod. So we'd love to have your help. We have raised so far in this pod, starting on Tuesday, we have raised a total of $10,815 just from this week alone. $26,115 for the summer starting in mid-July. Can't be more thrilled about it, and I appreciate it. So thanks to everybody that's come over. We hope you'll stick around even after Tom leaves. So I wanted to talk about the difference because obviously, Peter, you are best known, and I'm not sure whether it's only known for television commentary. Do you ever work in radio?
Years ago, yeah, I did. I came through as exactly as Harry. I came through BBC local radio. I was working in Leeds in the early 1990s. I was actually there when Leeds were the champions in 1992. They were the last champions before the start of the Premier League. So I sort of cut my teeth on a team managed by a fierce Yorkshireman called Howard Wilkinson. All of you Gooners will remember the great John Lukic in goal,
Absolutely.
who was obviously a hero of Arsenal as well.
Tom and Harry are a little too young for that, but I've watched him play for years. So.
I caught the back end of John Lukic. Yeah, his hair was iconic for me.
We caught the back end of him because we were right behind him in the North Bank, and he was just standing there.
Funnily enough, there were a couple of former Arsenal players in that Leeds team. Less famous, but there was a centre half called Chris White. I don't know if any of you guys are aware of him. He played in
with
that
a Y,
team.
right? WHY.
With a Y, correct. Yeah. And the centre forward, he played for a lot of teams, but the centre forward was a guy called Lee Chapman, who was Arsenal's centre forward as well. He was a big, blonde, very, very good-looking guy, who kind of big, blustering centre forward type. So So anyway, I was there in Yorkshire for 2 or 3 years, and then at a point when kind of, I suppose, the electronic media was massively expanding, when satellite television was beginning and Sky began, and kind of correspondingly at that stage, radio expanded, and the BBC set up what's now called 5 Live. It's 24-hour news and sport service. I just was fortunate to be one of the next cabs off the rank, so I was a sort of founder member there. I was the first person ever to do the night shift at Radio 5 Live, reading the sport at what the time it is now in the morning, Mike, for you.
And the obvious question is going to be, about the differences. One, you have to describe all the action. The other, you're trying to supplement it. But before I get to that question, stew on that for a second. I've just been sent this by a mutual lovely friend of ours who's in Cyprus right now. And I'm going to play it. It's something I haven't heard yet, but let's see how it goes.
Are you sure that's wise, man?
I think we should, because Harry is with us. Let's recap a frantic final few minutes, because we have to.
As Manchester United could be in here with Garnacho, and he scores. He slots it home. The flag stays down, and Manchester United might well have won it here on 88 minutes. There was a hint of offside there. Gabriel Jesus goes into the book for his protests. VAR will take a look at it, I'm sure. Offside, says the VAR. And Manchester United are denied a winner. Odegaard on the corner of the box. Odegaard's shot over the top of the crossbar, but he's taken a deflection, and it'll be an Arsenal corner with 3 minutes to go. Saka's ball in. Rice brings it down on his chest, strikes towards goal, and it's deflected in! And it's Declan Rice with his first Arsenal goal! What a time to get in for Declan Rice! Arsenal have found what's surely going to be the winner Declan Rice with the goal from the angle. Onana couldn't keep it out, and Emirates Stadium erupt. Box Saliba's clearance.
That's more than just a little bit of license from London.
Out to the left-hand side for Vieira, who'll play it through to Gabriel Jesus, who's in here for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus to finish it off. Oh, what a way to do it! Gabriel Jesus seals the points for Arsenal. He's back, and he's back with a bang. Arsenal 3, Manchester United 1.
That is fantastic. I'll tell you, you know, I don't get the chance to listen to Harry on the radio. I have not really been able to hear a lot of his commentary, and I mean, that was some good stuff right there.
My throat the next day was not good stuff.
You kind of undersold that as far as the amount of excitement that you were able to show because it was London, a London team. I mean,
it was the crowd, Mike. It was the crowd.
If you want to know the difference between radio and television, Mike, which is what you're coming on to, what Harry's done there, sparing his blushes, illustrates it perfectly. As a listener, even a dispassionate listener, there wouldn't be that many dispassionate listeners to that stage of Arsenal Man United. You knew what was going on. And that is the job of the radio commentator, to describe what's going on. Geography is really important. Where are they on the field? Actually, what is happening? And if you hear a television commentator doing that, when you can see for yourself where they are, that can very often be, and listen, guilty sometimes, irritating. Don't bother telling me that he's taken the corner right-footed or he's brought it down on his chest, because that is self-evident, and that is essentially the difference. And Harry's, apart from the passion that goes with it, the description is a perfect underlining of the radio commentator's art.
Peter, how did you find that transition from radio to TV? Because I had the pleasure of doing a few TV games last season, and I found it quite difficult at the beginning to get out of that habit of talking about where they are on the pitch and being that descriptive.
I found it really hard, Harry, and I honestly, sometimes, strangely enough, still do. It's only, I'm trying not to sound too kind of self-centered here, because it sounds like I'm constantly analysing myself. I'm not, but it's an appreciation on television which takes years and years and years, that saying nothing is a good thing a lot of the time. And it's not that as a young or even not young commentator you're especially eager to be saying something all the time. It's just that you sort of you have this sense of there ought to be a noise now, and actually you realize after the passing of time that there doesn't have to be a noise, particularly when you're in a stadium like Arsenal's and there are 60,000 people going nuts. They do the work for you, and if you have, again, it's different if you have a co-commentator with you who sort of fills in the gaps. You realize that you don't have to be there all the time, and there's a chance to let it breathe, which of course there isn't on the radio. And so it's perfectly natural that if you've done years of radio and you are required to, dead air doesn't work on the radio.
Yeah.
You've got to be talking all the time. Television for me, you named all the names there. You would, because you've got Arsenal inside out and upside down in your head. But the most important thing in television is sharp player identification, because essentially a lot of the time that's all you can do is just say the name, because the rest is self-explanatory. Whereas on the radio, in truth, and you'll agree with this, I'm sure, if you're not quite sure who the guy is in possession over on the far side of the field, you've got the license to talk about the smell of the burgers, or the moon that's drifting above the stand on the far side, and be all descriptive until you're happy with the football again. So anyway, I'm rattling on too much now, but there are some of the differences.
No, it's amazing feedback. Thank you.
And you're getting some amazing love from the chat right now. Just everybody in the chat, all 260 people in the live chat right now. I think almost every single one of them has just given you props for bringing that feeling back from last Sunday. I'm gonna now start watching the games on NBC, and then I'll also find a way to get, I'm sure I could probably stream it, and I'll just listen to both of you together, because one of you will be.
Mike, as well as I do that you could have listened to that game without commentary very happily, because Because let's face it, sometimes the game does the job for you as a commentator, and the game did the job for you. Frankly,
it was fantastic, and so the kind of the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, and Tom, jump in anytime you want, because I wasn't quite sure when you were going to come in, but how important is familiarity with your broadcast partner? Because Peter, obviously you could have chemistry with anybody, but but you tend to work with the same people now on a regular basis. You've been working with Lee and Graham a lot on NBC, and I think you said Gary Neville on Sky. Over the years you've had some changes in that. One thing I noticed, because I do love when we have commentators on to go to the website where they have all the statistics about it. But Harry, is this accurate?
Where did you find this? I've never even seen this.
Oh, this is what's the website?
Is it the commentator database one?
Yeah, it's ICDB, ICDB.tv. It's a fantastic database, but the top 20 people worked with, and there's Paul with 3 times, Phil with 2 times, but a lot of people with 1 time. And what I'm wondering is, is that a challenge? Is that difficult? Do that you don't necessarily have kind of a broadcasting partner?
They've all been great. I haven't had any partner on air that I've thought, oh my God, this isn't working. Like, they're all brilliant. But I think as you do it more with somebody, you learn when to throw to them. You kind of learn when it is you think they're going to come in, which means you don't have those clashes. Sometimes when you first work with someone, you'll kind of leave a bit of space for them to come in, and maybe they won't come in, and then maybe you go to jump back in right at the point that they come back in. And so I think, getting used to working with someone definitely helps. And everybody's different. Everybody has their own style. And I think, of course, familiarity. Just like when we do podcasting, if you work with someone all the time, you learn how to kind of, not in a bad sense, in a good sense, obviously, but you learn how to push their buttons and how to. So like, I know the things that Paul Parker, for example, doesn't like to see on a football pitch. So I know how to throw that over to him at those moments, and that has become helpful. But that took 2 or 3 games to get to the point where you're there. So familiarity for me is massive. It's not the be all and end all, because if you've got 2 great people, then you'll be fine. But it certainly helps, and I think that's why companies like Sky are producing such amazing content at the moment, because you've got that familiarity. Those relationships are building up, and as I'm sure Peter knows from working alongside the guys over the last few weeks as well.
Peter, now when someone lies down behind the free kick wall, and you're working a game with Lee Dixon, do you know that he's just going to absolutely pop off about that? I mean, have you learned that about him yet? I'm assuming.
Yeah, he hasn't come to terms with that yet, Mike. He's still in therapy.
I don't think he ever will.
Yeah.
I think when one of the best things I see with the commentary now, and I know that you've seen this, Peter, because I think you retweeted, but Arap Uria, who did the sketches of the commentators, where it's this. I don't know if you've already discussed this before I came on live, but
no, we have had Peter on with Young Noble Commentary, who is like Arap and him they're very similar, but I think they're friendly with each other. They both do very similar things. And last time Peter was on, or a couple of times ago, we had him on there. But I've heard of it. So
sorry, no, carry on, Tom.
No, go on, Peter. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about it, because I know it's just brilliant stuff.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very, very funny. I mean, I didn't retweet it because I'm not on social media, but I had it sent to me from time to time. And listen, the guy, I have met him, and he's a beautifully humble guy from just outside Nairobi. He's a teacher who has, because of his own inventive kind of comedic act, some of which seems to involve me, has made himself a thing. He's loved in his own country, and I must say he's only ever been really kind to me. And as I said to him once, I said, one day if I keep practicing, I'll do it as well as you do. So he's a really good guy. I've got a feeling, I might be wrong here, so don't quote me, but I've got a feeling he might be an Arsenal man, actually.
Yeah, I think
Good
so.
man. Good man.
And so he had the opportunity to meet with you in Qatar. Is that right? During the World Cup? So and that's where I found this. So tell us, you are such a good sport, Peter. Tell us the story about how this came to be.
Well, this again, as I say, I'm a Philistine or whatever, a dinosaur when it comes to social media. So it had to be brought to my attention that he tweeted something saying, you know, I'm in Qatar. Can we meet up? And suddenly my phone lit up with good old fashioned texts. That's what I understand. And basically we made it happen. We met it was the morning of a game, actually. I only had sort of 15 minutes. I had to get on a bus to a game, but I had a quarter of an hour with him and, you know, took those silly photos with cups on my ears and just had a really nice chat. And honestly, I don't want to sound like some sort of cliche award winner, but it was really humbling, the extent to which he'd made the effort to meet, and just what a genuine, pleasant, happy guy he was, who was just living his best life and loves football, and, you know, just a good guy. And it, you know, again, don't want to get overly philosophical, but, you know, smile and the whole world smiles with you, really. He understands what it's about. It's only a silly game, but it kind of consumes us too much, doesn't it? And,
can I just ask Peter a question? Peter, you know, you say you're not on social media and stuff. Is that just because it doesn't interest you, or is that deliberate because of your job? Is it something that you consciously want to avoid?
No, it's both. It's both, Harry. You know, this is. I understand that social media is a thing. I'd be stupid. I'm not going to sit here and preach and say don't be on social media. And I've been fortunate in that my career was well advanced before social media came along, and I absolutely understand why people these days possibly feel they need to be. I hate it, and whether it's being kind to me or not kind to me in my profession, it can still get inside my head. So if there's a great swathe of people saying that was brilliant this week, then there's a part of me that thinks, I better do that next week. And next week it's a different game, and it doesn't need that, and it will be inappropriate. And equally, I have to say, I'd be lying if not. I don't have a thick skin, and so if I see a few that don't like me, that hurts, and I don't see the point in allowing myself to be hurt. And I do understand, you know, it's impossible to please all the people all the time. Inevitably, certainly, there will be adverse reaction sometimes, and that I totally appreciate is part of the gig. But why would I want to invite it into my life? Just best to avoid it.
Of the 50 plus guests that we've had on that we will have had on this 27-hour podcast, you were the only one without a Twitter handle, and I have the utmost of respect for you for holding strong on that. I mean, I've had tweets going out listing all of the people who are going to be on the podcast by their Twitter handle, and it's, you know, they when you do the Twitter handle, it turns blue because you can click on it, and it's a whole sea of blue, and then Peter Drury in black in the middle of it just typed out, and I just, every time I'm like, you know what, he's held strong with it, unless you've got some crazy like secret Twitter account that you don't tell anybody.
No, it's not happening.
But I don't think
Peter
so.
Drury brackets, sad old man, close brackets.
No,
the burner account.
Peter, I know that you had mentioned you needed to shoot off a little bit before the hour. Are you okay on time?
Listen,
or do you...
Oh, come on! Let's see it through. I'll be late. Okay. Honestly, this is good. I'm enjoying talking to the guys.
Thank you so much. Well, one of the guys who's got to leave. He's the guy who came in late because, you know, he's got a busy schedule, or even a busy schedule.
I've got work. I'm at work, and now I feel bad now because Peter's showing me up with that. It's all good. It's all good.
Peter's got time for me, but supposedly my best friend whose wedding I traveled over at great expense can't spend an extra 15 minutes with me. But that's
I can spend an extra few minutes with you, mate. I'll just pray I get green lights all the way through. So yeah, that'll be fine. But,
no, I don't want to put you at risk.
I had a question for Harry actually on commentary quickly. Just obviously, Harry,
why would you have a question for me when you've got the GOAT literally sitting above me on the screen?
Well, it will become clear. It will become clear when I ask the question. It's obviously like Peter does.
Want to take a second to ask Peeny Ween in the chat a question really quick.
Obviously, like, it's very well known, Harry, that you're an Arsenal fan, and like that's the club you support. And with BBC Radio London, that's an outlet that allows you the ability to obviously commentate on Arsenal. And Peter talked a little bit earlier about kind of the fear of when he commentates on home games that he might sound a little bit more enthusiastic about a team because he's, you as you used the terminology, which I loved, of surfing on the crowd noise and somewhat. Is there ever a fear for you that you think because it's so out there for you that you're an Arsenal fan that you could get prohibited going into kind of the level of BBC Radio 5 Live or commentating on Arsenal ever, like at that, not that you're not at a fantastic level already, but you know what I mean, at that kind of, one day with the aspirations that I know that you have?
Yeah, big time. Big time. It's probably my biggest worry about it. The thing is, it's all about timing, right? Me and Tom, we've known each other for years. I was in a banking job, and my Arsenal podcast was essentially my route out of that into a career that I wanted. And that's opened doors for me to do radio and to do all this other amazing stuff, which I've been so lucky to do. But I can't go back and erase the fact that I'm an Arsenal fan, and I can't change that, and nor would I want to change that. But there is a part of me that does worry about that a little bit. Like, for example, last year, I did a few games on the Arsenal website, which was amazing. Again, it's an environment in which you don't have to worry too much about that. But then there were other tournaments that I did. So I did the African Champions League group stages, and I did about, I think, 12 games during the group stages. And that was a competition in which I have no connection to. So it was easier. I felt at ease about that. So I do think about it a lot, and I do worry that could be an issue further down the line, and that's where social media comes in, because you're going to read what your people are saying, and you're probably going to be even more conscious of it as a consequence of that, and maybe you'll do things differently which you don't really want to be doing. So yeah, I do worry about that a little bit, yeah, for sure.
Well, I think you're professional.
Harry, I don't think you'll have to in the long term, honestly, because your stuff's really good, and also when it will be when rather than if you come to do an Arsenal game as a neutral broadcaster, you know already. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but when you go to work when you go to a football match as a fan, you go with your heart. When you go to a football match as a broadcaster or a journalist, you go with your head. And actually, if you've got the discipline to keep the two separate, you just do. And, you've got enough on worrying about getting it right without feeling any sort of waves of support. Yeah, after the game, you can put the microphone down and think, oh, yeah, we won. But yeah. You don't, while you're actually executing the game, and people just have to accept. Listen, I could tell you all of the best known commentators on English television, on the Premier League or the Championship. I know all these guys. We're a little village of people. I'd tell you who they all support. They wouldn't thank me if I told you, but everybody grew up loving football with a team. And these perceptions of bias that you sometimes hear, honestly, it drives me mad, because it's not because of me, because fortunately I'm not identified, I think, with a club. I have one, and some people know what it is, but it's not a big threatening club like yours is. But it's just not true when you hear people say, oh, he loves Man United, he loves Liverpool. It's just not true. And very often it takes us back to where we were before. You've shouted a goal in front of a home crowd that's got you more excited than you appear to be when the other lot scores. But anyway, listen, your stuff's excellent, and I'm sure it won't be an impediment.
The thing is as well, though. No, but the thing is as well, like if like last season, there were lots of times where I shouted like that on Crystal Palace goals or exactly. Brentford goals, but nobody would see that because nobody would bring that up because of the fact that you're not associated with those clubs. But yeah.
I think the answer to how to deal with that is you just got to deactivate your Twitter account.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It's so strange though. Go on.
No, go on, Harry.
I was just going to say, like, for a lot of us that sort of have recently come into this sort of line of work, social media was the way in.
Of course,
and it's hard to kind of like. I would, in an ideal world, do what Peter's done and not pay any attention to it, because I've had some times where I've thought, why do I bother with this? But it's hard, isn't it, to go back on something that you think is partly responsible for why you've managed to make it a job. It's difficult.
Yeah. No, I do get that.
We're going to lose one and gain one, and I'm just going to have them briefly overlap because they are, of course, very, 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 very close. Sophie, welcome. Finally, in hour 15 or 16, whatever we're in, Sophie's arrived.
Hi, guys.
Look at
Tom,
that glow. You can
I
tell
know
Sophie's
you're
in the motherland. Look at that glow.
Tom's going to get a speeding ticket because of us. So,
No worries, guys. Pleasure to see you all. Peter, pleasure. I'm sure I'll catch you at
Cheers,
Everton.
Tom. I hope so. Take care.
Absolutely,
See you, mate.
Have a
See you,
good one,
Tom.
guys. See you later. Mike, you're doing a brilliant job, mate. Keep going.
thanks, Tom. Love you, buddy. Bruddy. That's a combination of brother and buddy. So, Soph, how's Cyprus?
Well, I mean, I'm in the island of love, the motherland. Harry will tell you, there's nothing quite like it. It's I've lost my voice a little bit, that typical going into air conditioning and then into the heat. But hopefully, I don't have my mic with me, so I'm hoping the sound's okay, Mike, and everything's good. But it just feels really good to be here with my family and my mum and dad. And it's really cool. And I've been watching. I've been up all hours following what you're doing, and it's amazing. And it's great to see Peter again. We were on a show with Lee Dixon, the FA Cup phrases, which was fun.
Yeah.
So great to see you too, Peter, and always proud to see Harry and all the great work he's doing. Always got to big up the Greek Cypriots, right? Why not?
Did you go to the Scotland game the other night, Sophie?
So unfortunately, I had a family event and I couldn't. But the stadium, Peter, is literally in the backyard of my mum and dad's house, so we could hear not the Cypriots that night for sure. We could hear the Scots, and they've been having fun in Ayia Napa and in Larnaca and all around the island. So they had a really good time. Fortunately for Cyprus, it was a terrible result.
I was really disappointed in that, Sophie. I turned the game on and 3 sides of the stadium were Scotland fans, which is amazing on their part, but just where is the support gone for the national team? But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, that's a conversation. We had some chances, Harry, as well. I mean, I thought we were going to, nick an equaliser at one point, and we were putting pressure on them, but the defence was just all over the place.
Just Spain up next.
For Cyprus. Yeah. Oh dear.
So I do want to really quick before we finish off this hour, just in case, could that really be your name? Just in case has given us a super chat, which of course we appreciate. Football unrelated. Just noticed the stream is against cancer. It's right. It's against cancer. It's not for cancer. People keep saying we're raising money for cancer. We're not raising money for cancer. We're going on the other side of the equation. 2 years ago, my mom beat cancer at the age of 68. Peter Drury, the man, the myth, the legend himself. I mean, if I had the time and wanted to continue to make our pictures smaller on the stream, I could have put literally hundreds of messages on the screen about the love that they have for you, Peter. Listeners, there was one that stuck out to me about how you're considered a demigod in Nigeria, and I happen to know that between a rap in Kenya and Young Noble in Nigeria and what they do, I mean, your commentary means so much to so many people in so many different places, and it's just, I know it's humbling to you because I've heard you tell me that, but I mean, it's rather incredible, and you deserve every bit of it.
Bless you, Mike. And by the way, all we do, Harry will agree with this, all we do is shout footballers' names, actually. And what you're doing for these 27 hours actually matters. So as opposed to the fluff and nonsense that keeps us happy week after week, this is actually something that matters. So it's been an absolute joy and a real privilege to be part of it. And the reason I was writing there was not because I'm not taking any notice of you. It's because I wanted to write down the website as it came across, so I can donate later in the day, which I will. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of it. And, I'm not allowed to be anything other than neutral, but I'm enjoying what the Gunners are doing at the moment. And I hope they give us another wonderful ride for their money, just as they did our money, just as they did last year.
Well, and as much as we love the excitement of a late winning goal, I mean, let's hear that at the end of the first half instead of the end of injury time this time. But, and we do have the one small matter before we bring on our next guest, who once again we're in a gauntlet of absolutely unbelievable guests, hour after hour after hour right now. We are going to do the drawing. Harry was very kind on his live stream earlier this week to donate a new Arsenal kit, which we are now drawing for. And the drawing and the winner of the kit is... Congratulations to Matthew Hayhow. Matthew Hayhow has won a personalized current Arsenal kit. And if I could see that, he is from Cincinnati, Ohio. So Matt, congratulations. You have won the kit, and thank you to you for your donation. Thank you, Harry, for your donation. It's just a constantly kind of self-growing thing when people donate things that help people donate things, and it just helps everybody in the end. So thank you to everybody.
Mike, if you can find out which shirt they want, whether it's the home one, the away one, or the third one, and just let me know, and we can.
I'll get all that information, and we are now $50 away from 11,000 for the podcast, 26,250 for the summer. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, and I'm very, very sorry, Peter. Last word before I get you out. I'm very, very sorry to all the incredible questions that were asked. We wanted to ask your questions of Peter, but we also really wanted to enjoy this time together. So hope you'll forgive me. And Peter, hope you'll come back for your, when you come back 5 times, you get the special jacket.
Do I get a star on my jersey?
You do. You get a star. We'll get you all sorts of stuff. But Peter, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Lovely to see you again, Sophie. Take care, Harry.
Good to see you, legend. Take care.
Be good. Be good.
Take care.
Say hi to Rebecca for us.
Oh, will do. Will do. Take care, guys.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Hey, Gooners. This is Alan Smith.
This is Kevin Campbell.
Lee Dixon.
Colin Lewin.
It's Gary Lewin.
Charles Watts.
Dan Potts. James Benge.
Danny. Tom from the Gooner Talk here.
Ryan O'Cross.
Simon Collins, you may know me from the Evening Standard.
You may know me for my time at Arsenal.
You may know me from Arsenal or even the hybrid squad.
I'm a bird cat Wonderland.
Being that physio sat on the bench next to Arsenal with my rubber gloves on.
The former Arsenal physio.
The Emirates press box, from writing, from Twitter.
From Goal.com, from Twitter, from YouTube.
Football is the beautiful game and it brings us all together.
Sometimes there are things even more important than wins and losses.
And yes, even transfers.
Every 30 seconds, someone in this world gets diagnosed with blood cancer.
The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society works towards curing blood cancers
and provides support to families currently dealing with these diseases.
Gooners vs Cancer was started in 2017
by a lifelong Gooner who lost his father to leukemia way too young.
Since 2017, Gooners v Cancer has raised
over $75,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
And we need your help to keep the fundraising going in this year's campaign.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
No matter the size.
And every donation enters you into the Gooner raffle,
where you have a great chance to win amazing Arsenal prizes,
including game tickets, stadium tours,
signed men and women's shirts,
and maybe a retro signed shirt by yours truly, Lee Dixon.
Me, yours truly.
Yours truly, Super Kev Campbell.
So much more.
It's easy to take part.
Just go to www.goonersvcancer.com
and donate directly to the charity.
Pick the raffle prizes you want to enter to win,
and wait for the drawings at the end of the campaign.
Again, that's www.goonersversuscancer.com.
We all know that victory grows out of harmony.
Victory grows out of harmony.
Victory grows out of harmony.
With your help, we'll be victorious against blood cancer once and for all.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thanks for your support.
Thanks for your support.
Thank you for your support.